Good evening and welcome to Artist Talk on Art on Monday, May 13th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Miriam Deutsch, Artist Talk on Art Programming Director. And tonight we have another open studio. We have invited mural and street artists to present their latest works. We're requesting that each artist limit their images to 20. But before we get started on sharing your artwork, President Doug Shear of Artist Talk on Art would like to share some information with you about our 50th anniversary. Doug?
Thank you. So Monday, May 20th, next week, in Tribeca at the Soho Photo Gallery, Artist Talk on Art is celebrating its 50th anniversary with a gala. And those of you who there are a few people on this call that are already coming, but if you're interested, there are still some tickets available. You'll find out about it by going to the ATOA website, www.atoanyc.org, and just click on buy tickets. It's that simple. We will have, of course, wine, food, music, a birthday cake that's going to look very much like our current graphics. And we're honoring two people in particular, Liza Kerwin, the Deputy Director Emerita of Archives of American Art, where our archive resides, of the Smithsonian Institution. There we have close to 1,200 recordings and a mountain of papers. And so we are honoring her for her 43 years at Archives of American Art. We're also honoring Dr. Gail Levin, who is the worldwide authority on Edward and Joe Hopper, and also on Judy Chicago and Lee Krasner. She's been the biographer of all of them. And she will be, actually that award will be presented by Helen Harrison, who was until very recently the director of the Pollock Krasner House on Long Island. So that's from 6 to 8, maybe 8:30 on Monday, May 20th. And the second thing to tell you about is that we have an auction which is up and running, which we will begin promoting for people that are interested in bidding on things tomorrow. Basically, it's up for a number of weeks in which you can preview art and bid when you're ready, and closes on Thursday, May 30th at noon. There are over 100 lots in that auction, meaning 100 different works of art. And I can tell you that there are things available from hundreds of dollars to tens of thousands. So there's something both to different tastes in this auction, but also to different pocketbooks as well. And we invite you to take a look. The auction is on the BidSquare platform, which has over 200,000 bidders registered. It's very easy to register directly into the A2A auction itself. And the blast that will go out tomorrow and other postings on Facebook and Instagram will give you a QR code that'll carry you immediately there. And now I'm delighted to turn things back to Miriam Deutsch and to see the art.
Thank you, Doug. So we'll begin with Leslie and Moses, Lawrence, Margaret, Tamara, and then if there are others that want to show their art, I'm sure there'll be time. So with that, Leslie, would you like to begin and tell us a little bit about yourself and share your images?
Sure. Okay, so let's see now. And everything is good. It looks good, right? Sharing.
Yes.
Okay.
Looks good.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So my name is Leslie Bender, and I how do I say this? I got involved with murals back in the late 70s. So anyway, I'm sorry to pause. It's kind of an emotional ride there, but this is crazy. This was the late 70s, and I was trying to make it as an artist, and I'd actually done some murals for I was working with the Brooklyn Arts Council and worked with some classes to create murals, and it wasn't enough money, and I ended up on welfare. And it turns out that my mother was friends with the director of the Middlesex County Arts Council in New Jersey, and she was looking for muralists, artists to work in this program through the CETA program. And CETA, the Comprehensive Employment Training Act, was started, I'm not sure if it was Nixon. I always think that it was during the Carter years, but I think Nixon actually started it. But it was this program that helped kick the economy, which was really staggering, and it gave a lot of people jobs. So I ended up moving from Brooklyn to New Jersey, and for a year we were paid a salary. Oh my God. And so the reason I'm showing this particular couple of pieces is because this is how my mural career really started. After working with schools and kids. So this is just one project I decided to include because I didn't know how many people were going to be here tonight. We worked as a group, and then we got assigned to different venues and organizations that wanted a art project. So, and I did several. I was at the Roosevelt Hospital and different projects. So they hired me to do 4 murals on, these were built, I might have built these with Homosote and 2x4s. So you can see how big they are. And if you have any questions, please just ask. It was just various activities that the Civic Center was engaged in. They had a swim, they had an area to swim, and they had a skating rink, and this was this is the bridge, the railroad bridge that goes over the Raritan River in New Jersey. So, and everything was done from my head. Okay, so because of that, I eventually got a job in Manhattan through City Arts Workshop. And I don't know how many people here are familiar with City Arts Workshop, but back in the end of the 70s, they were a pretty strong operation. They were based in Lower Manhattan, and they hired, at that time, there was 4 artists that we would be assigned to different projects. So they would reach out to communities. And in this case, this was Jackson Heights, their community development corporation. And they wanted a muralist. They had this 200-foot long wall. And what I did was I designed a project, Dungeons and Dragons. And then I had high school kids assisting me. So I taught them how to paint murals. And I had an assistant from college. And also I designed this project so that the local graffiti artists could join and would appreciate, it's a subject that they would appreciate. And some of the kids did join us. Okay. So, okay, so then my next project was at PS 82. And once again, I went to the school and talked to the people who had requested the mural to ask what they wanted. I always asked what the community wanted. It wasn't my own ideas. I mean, it wasn't my own will. I always liked to collaborate. So this school, they had kids coming, it's in Queens, they had kids coming from 82, it was a lot of countries. There was a huge amount of countries. These kids came from all over the world. So over here, there's the kids entering the school, and this is what they learned, and then they graduate, and then these are the careers they could engage in. And this mural at the end was my own personal little hint, you know, like take care of the planet. So here's a detail. All these kids posed for me. We had all the kids, and then I would draw them because this was before cell phones. And then let's see what happens next. And this is some of my high school students who I taught with my assistant, this guy, Jonathan, who might be in the background. But I taught them how to, we gridded the wall, and then I taught them how to, and my maquette was gridded 1-inch squares. And then we did 1-foot squares, and they learned how to draw the mural. So from there, I ended up having a relationship with another mural painter, Joe. And we did a lot of work up in Jamaica, Queens. This is his mural. Anyway, long story short, this was under the Long Island Railroad. There's a bridge, an overpass. This is, I can't believe I did this, but you know, I was young and brassy. So way in this corner to the left, these are the real stairs. And this was just a blank, like olive gray wall. And so, brilliant, Leslie. I mean, now at my age, I don't think I would have done this, but anyway, I painted this set of stairs that looked just like that set of stairs. And I'm cracking up. This is really funny. But anyway, apparently someone ran into this wall, rushing to get to catch their train on time. And so they asked me to paint it out, which I did not do. I just painted a chain that dangled across, from one railing to the other that said, "Do not enter." So then what happened was we muralists, I mean, they were on projects, and we met, I just ended up getting involved with political art because I met a lot of political artists. And so I was involved with a couple protests. And in this one, we were always protesting Reaganomics. So I painted this one here of the three of the most famous Mexican muralists, and also included Frida Kahlo as a woman artist. Oops, what happened? So this is a close-up of my banner. And this woman over here is Eva Cockcroft, who, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of her, but she was very active in the political arts community. So, and this was the guy I was dating at the time, Joe. So from there, can you all see, because I noticed that this, oh no, I'm okay, all right. So I was just, okay. So from there, Eva Cockcroft, she invited me to go out at night and to create stencils, anti-gentrification stencils. And we would spray them on the walls of the Soho buildings because Soho had become very gentrified. So that's what we did. We sprayed these great stencils on the wall. Oops, why is it not going? So this one here is called A Rat in the House. And there's a whole story to this, which I'll tell. So basically what happened was she was part of this political group called Political Art Documentation Distribution. So that's PADD. And unbeknownst to me, she allowed them to use my stencils to make copies on paper, which they sold as fundraisers. And I had no idea she was doing this. And what happened was the Whitney Museum put on a big show of political prints. I think it's the Whitney, maybe it was the Guggenheim, but anyway, it was one of those two museums. And they put on this huge show of political prints. And I found out about this. I had no idea. I went down there to see it. They had not even included my name. They just had PADD on this thing. So I complained, and one of the big famous art critics, Lucy Lepard, I complained to her, and all she said was, well, your politics and mine don't agree. I mean, she was sticking up for peasants in Central America, but, was willing to use young artists in the city. So I thought that was pretty ironic, and I got extremely disillusioned with the left. And then the Museum of Modern Art had a big political print show, and they did include my name alongside PADD. So long story short, I became disillusioned with, no, what? Oh, okay.
What did Leslie, what is Art Makers Inc.?
Okay, thank you for asking a question. I'm a little discombobulated because everybody's pictures are in front. Oh, well, it's a little difficult because everybody's pictures are in front of my imagery. Art Makers Inc. was a group that Eva started with 5 of us after we were no longer part of City Arts Workshop. And then I believe they went along for a number of years painting murals in the city, and I would have to look it up. So it was a continued process of creating murals. Does that help? I could look it up.
Yeah. A couple of people have commented they love the stairs mural.
Thank you for telling me. I was a little discombobulated. I didn't read the chats.
Yeah, it's okay.
As a person in her 70s, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. But anyway, youth. So what I decided to do, I realized that, I have painted murals since then, and they're mostly private, or haven't done much street art. And now this piece, people can see this, right? Your faces aren't in the way, I hope.
No, we can see it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So now I included a couple paintings that I did, and I did use this as a banner, but death to the cabal. I have a real pet peeve with the oil industry. The extraction industry enrages me. And so this was one of the paintings I did, which is, I guess it says how much it is, the size of it. So, and I've sent this image to many different environmental groups and saying, you could use this for free. But anyway, nobody's taken me up on it. But it's funny because it's very prescient, because at the time I painted it, I didn't realize how much these rising oceans are a part of this whole horrific, deadly game. But anyway, you can see that the cabal is in the background, and of course, this represents the the patriarchy that's controlled our planet for a long time. The money that the oil and extraction industry, I mean, that goes to all the politicians, and I mean, everybody here probably knows that story, but these columns just represent the patriarchal culture. And this horse represents my inner spirit connection. So we'll go to my last slide, which is the latest painting I did it's called Groaning Planet. And it's about the same topic. And because I decided to do this tonight, I will end my presentation by saying I'm really appreciative that you decided to do this at the last moment, because I'm getting a chance to look at my own trajectory, I guess it is, and realize, yeah, I would like to do more street art. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, or how to contact, or what's going to happen, but this is inspiring me. So thank you all very much for putting this on.
Thank you, Leslie. And anybody have any questions for Leslie? You've certainly had an interesting history of doing murals. Thank you for sharing, Leslie. Robin says.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, I can stop the share whenever people are ready.
And so then there are no questions for Leslie. We'll move to Moses. If you would like to share your screen.
Unmute yourself, Moses.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me to share. I just sort of had this one mural that I did recently. I guess you can see behind me, I have a graffiti piece that I use as my background for. It's something I did on canvas back in 1980. But I started out as a graffiti artist, and I went into this organization called Nation of Graffiti Artists, that was headed by Jack Pelsinger, where he guided us graffiti artists to do work on canvas. And I did work on canvas. I sold my first painting, a graffiti piece that brought out a Nation of Graffiti Artists that was on the Upper West Side. This is back in the 70s. And but then I went on to become an architect, and I've been practicing, but I've also been doing artwork as well. And I'll share the first image here, let me see. How do I do this? Okay, whoops. I gotta hit the share button. Okay, let me do that. Okay, and I think this is the one. Okay, So this is the most recent I guess mural that I've done. And this was through an organization called Korea Art Forum, which was a year-long program where I was doing printmaking workshops in different parks in the city. This is in Inwood Park near the Isham entrance, Isham Avenue or Isham Street. And uh, part of what that this represents is sort of the impact of humans on the environment. So I have like this sort of camouflage background. Here, let me get a better picture of that. Hold on a second. There we go. And representing, the environment that man is sort of humanity is imposing their imprint on. And then as we do that, different species are disappearing because of our impact in the environment. So I did some, like I have a bat and and some bunny. I did some sort of popular type of animals. I mean, I have a squirrel and a cat and a dog because I wanted to have that sort of that connection to you know uh, to the regular animals that we see. But then in the middle, I have this dove, which also symbolizes peace. And so it's on a container that they use for like the baseball league that's there. They store the equipment in there. And this is to the Parks Department. And there's always a challenge when you're dealing with agencies. But we finally got it done. And I had a community component where I had the people from the community come in and paint flowers. I cut out these stencils of flowers that are native to New York State, and I had them do they fill them in the way they wanted to. So here you can see how they which is really cool, the way they filled in the flowers to their liking. And there's another one. I don't remember. I don't have the names offhand of what they are, but they're New York flowers. There you go.
Oh, we're not seeing the other images. We're just seeing the container.
Oh, you're not seeing that? Oh, wait a minute.
That we didn't see the flower.
Oh, okay. Anyway, okay, new share. Okay, here we go. Can you see it now?
Yes,
Okay.
the flower.
All right. I was seeing it, but you weren't seeing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Miriam. So they would they had the cutouts of the flowers, and then they would paint in how they to their liking. So this was a way to engage the community, because part of what the program is to have community engagement. So that was one. Let me go here. Where? Okay, I see it's new share. There you go.
How big is that flower?
Oh, it's not that big. It's
Oh.
the cutout was on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, of almost the size of the sheet. So I don't know, it's
Okay.
maybe 6 roughly inches, no more or less.
Great colors.
Yeah. No, and these are works that I didn't do these flowers. I just did the cutouts, and they did the rest of it. Let me see what else. Yeah, I want to do another one. Oh, here we go. So, and then there was this one. Well, this is not such a great photo of it, but you could see where, their hand of the community was in there. And then here's a picture, sort of a little more context of where the container is. So you could see it. And then you could see these flowers. So this is the overall was myself and the statement I'm making, and then to engage the community in there. And I have one more photo here of some of those. Wait, let me open it up. Hold on. And here we go. They were some of the kids that were doing these these stencils, and you can get a better scale of this whole thing. I mean, the container is 8 feet tall by 20 feet wide, and then they would use they'll give them sponges to use to apply the paint through the stencil. And anyway, just to get back to this. So anyway, this is my latest work that I did. It's up now. I did this back in, what was it, October or November roughly. We got a late start. And if anybody has any questions about this. Oh, the other thing I want to mention is that I use for the figures silver paint, so that at night you could see it will reflect the light. So in the daytime, of course, the colors pop out in the park because it's such a contrast to, you know, the greens and browns. And then at night, the silver, when the light hits it, it reflects, so you get to see the images as well at nighttime.
So a couple of comments, Moses.
Yes.
I noticed, I just looked up, 1973 was apparently the first time that an art gallery started showing graffiti art.
Yes.
And I remember myself that there was a lot, like the trains and subways were getting inundated with tags and some pretty creative video art, also railroad trains and so on, underpasses and what have you. But we were a little slow on the uptake. Artist Talk on Art did not have a graffiti panel until 1983. So it took us a decade to catch up. But when we did, we had people like Lady Chic, Crash, Lady Pink, um, Days. These were people that were some of the early graffiti artists that were getting shown in galleries. So that's as much as I remember about that. But it was an exciting moment in art, and it certainly had a huge impact on street art and on murals.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, this is the resources that, you know, kids had at the time, facing the challenges that we were faced with. You know, I mean, I grew up on the Upper Side when it was very rough, you know, gangs and drugs, and so this was a creative outlet and not get involved in that kind of activity.
Right.
So you know, it was something that I was able, for myself, to be able to express myself this way helped me a lot.
Right.
To do when I did that. So
you know, also it inspired a whole movement of public art, a whole different context of public art based on much more ad hoc, community-based art making. So that's
yes,
a very positive thing.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Moses.
Thank you.
Lawrence, would you like to go next?
Sure.
There you go.
Okay. Share content, photos. Oh, damn it. Yeah. There we go. Okay. I have to. Yeah. I'm not sure what I'm doing here now. Hold on, I've done this a zillion times, but I think I'm just nervous. let's try that. Okay, we got that. Now, let's see what's going to happen if I switch. I think I have to go backwards. Okay, so this is I love playing with. First of all, I misinterpreted what you were talking about in terms of street art, because there's not street art. There's photographs made on the street. But one of the things I love doing is figuring out ways to do the things that I used to do in the darkroom. You know, just in playing and just in manipulating images and playing with the stuff. Let's see if I can switch video. No, I can't. Okay, so I have to go backwards. Sorry. That's not what I want to do. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to do stop share and then I'll go back to it. Sorry.
Okay.
Share content again. Go to photos. And I'm going to that folder I just made while I was talking. And it goes down here. There we go. And I guess what I have to do now is to select all. Select that. I'm selecting them out of order, but that's okay. You get to see them. Okay, and this, what you saw with that first one was my first use of, or the first satisfying use of something that's called, I'm calling it pornography. It's when using the iPhone in the panographic mode, but then not doing what they tell you to do with it, but rather by intentionally moving the camera in such a way that you're not supposed to do it. So it's twisting or going up and down and getting distortions that occur. And I wind up also getting these double exposure kind of things going on. And I've just found myself so excited with doing these things and getting, you know, iconic images that just sort of distort out the truth, or maybe, as was mentioned before, portend the future of that might one day happen. Empire State Building, just because I live so close to it, is often my muse. And Times Square being not even a 12-minute walk from here, often winds up being something that I'm shooting. I take the subways a lot, and sometimes there are performers in the subway, and this was a pretty interesting experience. I love how I get these things going on. If you probably can't tell, but the fellow on the left is also the fellow on the right. This is this one. All of these are single exposure. Well, to be more accurate, there's probably hundreds of exposures, but the camera is putting them together in ways that it is forced to. In other words, I have to quit doing what I'm doing in terms of these exposures rather quickly. Otherwise, the camera will just say, nah, forget it. You're doing something wrong. But by doing them quickly, I trick it into manipulating these things for me. This is my single favorite. This is my of the entire series. I've done hundreds of these, but this, or maybe even thousands. And this one I just printed up in a 20 by 30, and it looks marvelous. I am so impressed with my own work, which is not usually the case. This was just the other day. That last one was also just a few days ago, a few weeks ago. Just the other day, out in Roosevelt Island, visiting the Four Freedoms Park, and on the walk back, this is the 59th Street Bridge. What happened to the rest of his body, I don't know, but that's just part of the process, and I just love getting these surprises. Then we have these things. I mostly was avoiding people. It was because the distortions sometimes were just kind of creepy, but there was this one day where I just wound up doing lots of people, and I got most of, I think, what's going to be the next ones as that.
Very interesting work.
Thank you.
Doug commented that Razor Gallery in 1972 showed graffiti art organized by United Graffiti Artists with a lot of the work executed on canvases. They must have predated the rise of Basquiat.
Okay. This one particularly gets me because the faces on the left, the disembodied person in the center, the woman on the right, far right, who is just looks perfectly normal. Yeah.
It looks like sometimes art created by AI has these distortions.
I haven't tried AI yet. I know my friends are doing it. They say you should try this, but I'm just too satisfied with this.
Yeah.
Now, these are really the first I've done of people. This is from like about 2 weeks ago. And they make me giggle so many times. Yeah, I often wind up giggling when I'm looking at something I did 10 years ago or something, but this making me giggle from last week or 2 weeks ago is. And you can ask me questions if anybody has any questions about how'd you do that? How'd you do that? It's really a matter of just repetition and getting a result I didn't expect the first time, and then playing and working on making it happen a second time, third time. And once I realized how I was getting this effect, it became easier and easier. This is a rather plain one, but I love this kind of poppy thing that happens. Oh, by the way, most of these were taken from, I started doing these on my motorcycle, then that was stolen. So most of these are taken from the backs of cabs. This one was just from a week ago. The same time as, oh no, this was yeah, this was like a week ago, and it was on one of the ferries on the East River. And that's the last one. Any questions? Let me go back to my favorite. I want to show that one off.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, by the way, this is the one Doug, I was thinking of putting into the auction.
Ah,
You
great.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
There's still time to do that. I should mention that anybody that is still interested in adding work into the auction, it's no problem. You go to the website, www.atoanyc.org, and click on Donate Art. And you'll arrive at a jot form page. It's like a one-pager. You put in, the image, upload the image, put the dimensions, the media, et cetera, the year, what you think the work should sell for, and what reserve you think it should be. Most people are using, say, 50%, but it's totally up to you. And we'd love to have more.
Okay. How many are you accepting for artists?
Well, we have over 100 lots now, but per artist, two or three is usually a good number. Anything more than that becomes an exhibition, I think, at that point.
Okay, very good.
So, perhaps three pieces, something like that.
Good enough. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Sharing. Thank you.
Tamara, would you like to go next?
Mute. Desktop. Let's see, share. And let me get the so I'm a painter, but I got very interested in this particular building here we go. Slideshow or full screen. Here we are. There was a building on 17th Street and 7th Avenue. Oh, wait, I don't think I want to do it this way. Wait. Sorry, I don't want slideshow. I just want full screen. I want control over when they move. So there's a building. I might as well show this one. It's on 7th Avenue and 17th Street, and it was covered with graffiti, and it had these holes or niches, several of them in the wall. And the niches inspired me. I kept walking by and thinking, I want to put something in that hole. And then I thought, if I want to do that, I better do it now, because this building's going to be renovated at some point, and then I won't be able to play anymore. And so I started using cheese boxes. This is an oval cheese box. It's my favorite box. Brie, a type of brie. The brand is called Supreme. And then I cut a goddess out of cardboard and painted it with acrylic, and also used the marker pens, and it just stuck it up on the wall. The red square was already on the wall. I didn't paint that. And I felt I had a kind of freedom that I didn't care about whether it was archival or sturdy. I just used whatever was around, and I stuck it together with tape, and I made it fairly quickly, and I put it up on the wall, and people, that it would stay up a day or two, and then somebody would steal it. And that was okay. It made me feel like they liked it and they wanted it. So so they, somebody took this, and then, I missed one. Here's another one. This one is a cheese box. This is a symbol from West Africa, called burn but not burnt, which is a symbol for toughness and durability. And it's a round brie box, and then there's the yellow shape was a piece of cardboard I found on the sidewalk and painted yellow. And I put that one up on that red square. And this one was weird because somebody took it and moved it over a few feet. And that was very strange. Like, why would someone move it? Like, I understood that people would take them because they wanted them, but why would you move it? But one thing that's wonderful is that it's like a big anonymous community collage. Like, everybody's, people are drawing, people are putting up stickers, people are putting up posters, and they all interact with each other. And it very much excited me. And I have been working like as a painter, like 2-dimensional, and this was something for me to do some assemblage and do something more 3-dimensional, or somewhat 3-dimensional. And I was always shy because, like, where the hell am I going to store it if I work 3-dimensional? And I don't have to worry about storing these because I put them on the street and people would take them. This is ice cream lid, and the little face. I had watched the documentary of Rosaline Norton, who loved the god Pan. So this is my simple version of Pan. And as I said, since I was putting it on the street, I didn't really worry about, I wasn't going to spend hours on it, and I wasn't going to worry about whether it was archival. And I put this one up in my favorite spot on that red square. And I walked away and I paused, and these women were walking by, and the one in the brown jacket said to her friends, "Hey, stop. Hey, look at this. This is really cool." And it was just like, yes, this is my audience. This is what I want to do. And I wanted it to be a way to enchant the world, that you would be, walking down the street doing your business, and maybe out of the corner of your eye, you see this weird little thing, and that would make you feel curious and make it like be strange and mysterious. This is a sardine can with a cat man in it. And I used a little sticker, a store-bought little star sticker. I mean, it was just so freeing not to worry whether it was archival or whether it was very sturdy or well made. I just stuck it together with tape. Here's another ice cream lid, and kind of an interaction with this beautiful calligraphy. I just loved that tag. I can't read it at all. I don't know who put it there, but the idea of the community collage. And that this is one done on a piece of cardboard and some foil and some star stickers. And there's another one of the niches or holes that this building has. And this is another one with and then this is the same spot. I would use the same spots over and over again, because I'd put this up, it would be up for a day or two, and then somebody would steal it. And then I'd go and put another one up in the same spot. And then you see that somebody came along, Sean. I put that one up, and then I put this one up, and then Sean came along and added his tag. And this was one of my favorite ones, just cardboard. And these are all, by the way, are goddesses, and I mean them to be spiritual, and I thought of them as street altars. And I know, so I am proselytizing in a mild way for goddess worship. I know most people are not going to start praying when they see them, and that's okay. You can just enjoy it as art. And there's the context of this niche with the graffiti. And if you look up in the upper left, that is the linking sigil, and I'm going to tell you about that later. I also put that symbol in the black circle up in the upper left. I'll tell you about that later. So the landlord of this building suddenly decided to crack down on the graffiti, and I went there to put another one up. I was so obsessed with this. It was so exciting and inspiring to me, and I was going like, maybe not every single day, but several times a week, to put new pieces up and to check whether somebody had taken the ones I had already put up. I have no idea who was taking them. I don't, it was probably in numbers of different people, but it could have been, a few people. Anyway, I went there, and the landlord decided to crack down on the graffiti and painted everything white. And they still haven't rented this place, but they are voracious, I guess is the word, to keep the graffiti off. And people come by and tag every once in a while, and they paint it white the next day. So, and I wasn't putting graffiti all over town. I really liked that one building, and I haven't found many places I want to. This piece is from a Valentine candy box, and it's a collaboration with my partner, Seth Tabachman. He made the drawing of the fist, and the quote, God, I meant to get the name of the person the quote came from, but it's a quote that's been used. And I put this one up on Charis Community Center. Charis was a community center in the 1980s and was shut down, and we are hoping to reopen it, and a group of artists did murals all over both sides of the building. That's Sabrina Jones's mural of the face on the flower that says growing. And I put I made two of these. It was a Valentine box, so I had the box and the lid. So I made two versions and I put them up on Charis, and the murals were part of the movement to reopen it, and that hasn't been resolved yet. And so this is the linking sigil. The linking sigil comes from Chaos Magic, and it was designed by a magician named Argel. And it's meant to make a sympathetic connection between things and people and places. And magicians tag it in locations that seem magical or strange or enchanted or haunted, or if you want to make a place become more magical or more spiritual. And I love the idea of that. So I put this up on that building on 7th Avenue and 17th Street. And I also put it on the back of my own street altars. And the idea is that there's this worldwide web of magical connection. Thousands of people have put these sigils up all around the world. But a problem came up that some people put these sigils up for what they called nefarious reasons. They put them up with bad intentions, and people were like, oh no, I don't want to link my place to, this other thing. So they Argel, who designed the first sigil, came up with a second sigil. He calls this the Witch Engine Protocol, and it is a protective sigil. It acts as a gate or a filter, so to keep like bad vibes away from the linking sigil. And so the idea now is originally people were only using the one, and then when people were abusing it, now they put these two together. So I put this sigil on the back of my pieces also. Anyway, as I said, the landlord of my favorite building has cracked down on the graffiti. I haven't found another building that I love the same way. In the meantime, I have been able to sell some of my street altars. So people started begging me to buy them when I made them. And when I made them to sell, I had to make them out of sturdier materials. I've been doing things this sort of thing I've been selling with this kind of box. And I've had to learn to not use tape, but to glue them and not use marker pens that are gonna fade, but only good acrylics. But anyway, that's what I have to show you.
Could you
And
take a few comments and questions?
sure.
So one of the things that, not that we ever had him at Artist Talk on Art, Joseph Cornell,
Mhm.
gone, long gone, I think, by the time we got going, but we did have a night where we had the people who run his museum or foundation appear. And I have to say that looking at your work, the individual, whatever we want to call them, the individual
Altered.
altar pieces would be very interesting to see in a greater kind of grid-like environment in the way that Cornell would have done it. A lot of little box shapes, and then these integrated inside those boxes, perhaps in a narrative setting would be interesting, you know, thematically narrated. But they also look, just in any one of them, any one of these, look, the features of the little characters, in particular the people, are very otherworldly, and it's a marvelous sort of like a civilization from another planet. And so they're really very special. There's something about them that's very engaging, and I understand part of it is the symbolism within them, or the little symbols that are painted on them on their stomachs or whatever. But I think you've created a little civilization. Maybe I shouldn't use the word little. A civilization of these symbolic sort of extraterrestrial creatures. It's fascinating, but instead of just putting it on buildings, why not put it in a more canvas-like or sculptural kind of context? I think I'm just saying you should consider that.
Thank you. I will.
Um,
I
Uh,
I wish I had put in some other ones where I started to put more elaborate scenes. And then but that got interrupted when the landlord painted the building. Really, really wish I'd started on it sooner before he anyway,
Do you ever have,
landlords against street art.
yeah. Do you ever have groups of people, groups of these little people in one context rather than just individual ones?
Mostly I've been doing individual ones, but I would like to do more elaborate scenes, yes.
I think,
I love what you've been doing.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Leslie?
oh, thank you. Yeah, tomorrow I'm so inspired by what you did, are doing. And then Doug, I love that word, otherworldly. Thing is, for myself, I have this reluctance to do what you did. And at times the idea would flash through my mind, I should make a little stencil and just put it on the wall. And there's something so non-precious about what you're doing. I mean, there's a certain preciousness and this is mine about what I do. And I'm so inspired. I'm very inspired, to just let go, let go and just do something cool. This little thing that I live in Kingston, New York, and that's what I want to do. I would like to put something small and otherworldly in places where people can see it. And I loved the way you ended up having this big share conversation with other artists, you know, it became a whole, it's a share. It's like tonight.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
don't know how else to say it, but that's just really, and it doesn't have to be professional and you get paid and you get permission. It can just be this desire to communicate.
And what a
personal
dialogue you're
ideas.
creating, and probably unknown dialogue with people.
yeah, yeah. I didn't know who else. I didn't know any of the other graffiti artists. I didn't know. We weren't there at the same time. I don't know who took the art or what they did with it. Yeah, and that was part of the mystery.
I don't know if I would call this graffiti art, though.
Well, it's well, my part wasn't graffiti, but there were other people doing literal graffiti with markers or spray paint
Right.
on the same wall.
Ah, okay.
Uh, Sometimes they would draw around my altar, like you could see that they were consciously interacting with what I did.
So they would have been alter egos, I guess, huh? Hovering around.
Well, you're definitely creating a dialogue with
Mhm.
the environment by placing these where other people are also engaging with the environment in a different way. So you're creating that this whole conversation that's sort of without, just sort of by the images.
Yeah, they're very accessible and universal. You know, a lot of the symbols and even if you didn't know necessarily what the symbols were of, it felt like relatable somehow. And strong images,
Oh,
whether it was a heart or a fist, um, they were all strong images.
well, thank you.
Well, the fist is coming from the Black Power movement. Usually you see it in reverse with the thumb on the left side. But I think it's important to have a sense of what those symbols mean to specific people. Like the Adinkra symbol, those are those are ancient proverbs that are articulated with specific symbols.
Interesting.
Muted.
Wow.
Leslie, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted,
Oh,
Leslie.
thank you. You know, when you were presenting the goddesses, you're saying something. I forget the words you used. It wasn't a loud screaming protest, but I mean, I like to share these kind of spiritual, otherworldly imagery. And I know that when I've seen something, I'm like, I'm so happy to see it. So I like that idea too, sharing your, what you want to tell people to raise the level.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me show. I did, um, after I started doing this, I was invited, last year, I gave a talk on street altars around the world, focusing on India, Japan, and southwestern United States and Italy. That mostly Catholics, Hindus, and Shinto. There's a whole tradition of putting small altars on the street where people could pray or leave an offering, and that was a really interesting thing to research and give a presentation on. It's a little different, because these are established religions and the altars are not part of a graffiti thing. They're, most of them are a little more permanent. But it was interesting to think about that.
Very interesting. Wow. Well, thank you to all the artists and your inventiveness and creativity and sharing it with all of us. It's been fascinating, and it's wonderful to see I love street art and murals. It's really wonderful to make art so accessible, so public, and so thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you for ATOA and giving this venue and all the work you've been doing for so many years.
Thank
Thank
you.
And that.
It's only been 50 years.
The first 50 years of the hardest.
Yeah. Now it'll be smooth sailing.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right, well, I'm gonna get going, but I really appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to see the artist's work and to talk about it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.
All right.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.